the tarot cards. 0, the Fool. The Fool is perhaps the most complex card in the major arcana because it occupies the number 0. In the language of symbols, 0 is not nothing. It is the void. It is a void of infinite potential. It is the circle that contains everything before it's manifested. When we look at the Fool through the lens of traditional occultism, we find a figure standing at the intersection of divine madness and perfect evolution. 1. The physical stance. The Fool is almost always depicted with one foot hanging over the cliff. The symbolism of this represents the transition from the unmanifest or spiritual world to the manifest or physical world. The interpretation of this is it is the leap of faith. The Fool is not looking down at the danger. He is looking up at the sky. This suggests imagistic intuition requires a temporary suspension of logic. To find something new, you must be willing to step where there is no ground. 2. The knapsack. Memory and karma. The Fool carries a small bag on a stick. The symbolism of this historically is the bag is said to contain the tools of the other cards: the wand, the cup, the sword, and the pentacle. But he hasn't opened them yet. He carries his past experiences as a light burden, not a heavy weight. The interpretation of this is the initial seed. It is the raw data you carry into a project before you've begun to categorize it. This is the unpacked wisdom. The white rose. The white rose is the purity of intent. In his left hand, he usually carries a white rose. The symbolism is the rose represents desire, but the color white represents purification. He isn't driven by greed or ego, but rather by a pure, almost childlike curiosity. The interpretation of this is it is the beginner's mind. To really research the unknown, one must drop all previous biases, or the red passion of preconception, to see the white of what is actually there. 4. The companion, the white dog. A small dog barks at his heels. The symbolism is the dog represents the animal instinct and the physical body. It is trying to warn him off the cliff. The interpretation is that this is the tension between superstition, or the gut instinct to play it safe, and intuition, the pull toward the unknown. The dog is the part of us that fears the unknown. The Fool is a part of us that realizes the cliff is an illusion. 5. The sun, or the source. A white sun shines behind him. The symbolism is that unlike the golden hot sun of the sun card, this sun is often white, representing the spiritual sun. The interpretation is that it suggests that the Fool is being pushed by a higher force. This is the eureka moment, the aha, the light that comes from behind you, illuminating a path you never even knew existed. The Fool is the embodiment of high entropy, or high uncertainty, or high surprise. The Fool contains the possibility of every image ever made, but it hasn't settled into a shape yet. Superstition versus intuition. Is the Fool stupid for not looking at the cliff? Superstition would say He is a cautionary tale of what happens when you don't respect the rules of the physical world. Imagistic intuition would say, no, the fool knows that the cliff is just a boundary of the mind. When you engage with the image of the fool, you are essentially ready to ignore the safety filters of logic in favor of the raw, unorganized potential of the void.